Welcome back, everybody. You'll now hear from the candidates for state president. The order was determined prior to the start of our event by a flip of the coin. So for the purposes of introducing our candidate for president, please welcome to the stage Steve Pappas, chairman of the board for the Wyandotte JCs.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing today?
Great.
Good. Thanks for coming out to hear the vision that these candidates have. For those that don't know me, I'm Steve Pappas from Wyandotte. I joined the JCs in 2004. For those counting, that was many, many moons ago. Held many positions on the state board and our local board. I've been a very successful president of the Wyandotte JCs twice. I've seen over a decade of leadership in our organization, and I've seen what it takes to be successful. And I've also seen what it takes to go beyond successful and be amazing. The amazing leaders work the hardest, but you never know because they make it so fun. That's the type of leader I see in Steve Pickman. I met Steve in 2008 when he joined, and I was blown away by his passion, his dedication, and his lighthearted nature. And we've become great friends over the years. When Steve is visiting chapters and coming up with projects, he's having a blast talking with members, uniting their passion and being the fun-loving guy we've all come to know and love. But what you don't see is everything he's done behind the scenes to be successful. Believe me, he spends the day working his ass off. He joined Creighton JCs in 2008 and worked hard on their board of directors for a few years to become their 50th president in 2011, where he's not only a successful president, but received a Martin P. Luther Memorial Award as one of the best in the state. He also received a Charles E. Culp from Nationals as one of the best presidents in the nation. And he received the Bob Peacock Memorial Award for top recruiter, recruiting more JCs than anybody else in the Michigan JCs that year. In 2012 and 2013, he served the Michigan JCs as district director, once for District 5, and then again for District 6. Receiving the Sandy K. Likas and the M. Upson Awards for both of those years for the Michigan JCs and USJC. Steve is a huge part of his chapter's success in Creighton. It's the largest chapter in our state. He's a huge part of the Michigan JC's success. While he's serving as our membership director, we've seen 2 straight quarters of growth, and we're at year-to-date growth. And his team are killing it out there. And I just love to see that. So they're working hard to make sure that we're successful. And even though he might have a million things on his mind, when he travels the state to come to our projects, he's full of enthusiasm and positive energy, ready to make a difference. He switches gears and jumps right in and gets his hands dirty and has fun. He has fun building relationships. He has fun building leaders, and he has fun igniting our passion. That's the difference between a good leader and a great leader. A great leader loves what they do, and Steve loves every part of what he does. And he's passionate about our success as an organization. He wants to ignite your passion and make 2016 a year to remember. So please join me in supporting our next Michigan JC president, number 92, Steve Pickman.
Good morning, Michigan JCs.
Good morning.
Good morning. You never tell when you're up here if this works or not. So. How about now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? I'm not trying that analogy.
Well, I think I have a big enough voice that you guys can hear me from the crowd. I'd like to thank you all for being here today, just sharing the vision that each candidate is bringing forward for our organization moving forward. I hope that we can all work together to achieve those goals and make our organization a successful organization for many years to come. As you heard, I'm Steve Pickleman. I'm a Michigan JC. I'm a very passionate guy in life. I'm very passionate about the Michigan JCs and the JC organization as a whole. I chose for my theme, Ignite Your Passion. I chose it because passion is what drives us to achieve more. And I want to help you achieve more, and I want to help the Michigan JCs achieve more. My platform can be broken down into three main areas: membership, programming, and relationships. Now you might be asking yourself, how can I ignite your membership? To me, coming through the ranks as a district director and as this year's current membership director, it gives me a unique perspective on the membership side of things. It's allowed me to get out to chapters and build those relationships and meet with the members and come to their projects and their GMMs. To me, every JC joins for their own reason. Whether it's because they got invited to play a game of Cards Against Humanity in Kalamazoo, or because they came out and worked one of our festivals that our organization puts together. Everyone stays for their own reason, whether it's the same that they joined for or a different one. And every member in this room and within our organization has their own passion. I believe that the member, the individual member, is the greatest asset to our organization. Now, we can't benefit from this asset until we become more familiar with our members. How do we become more familiar with our members and what they're passionate about? I feel a strong point is to build mentorships. Now, these mentorships can be with our normal, regular members, our new members, our seasoned members, mentoring new members, with our roosters, and with our senators. How these mentorships work is that they will be able to make the member more comfortable to bring their passions to the forefront. Now with that, it's easier once they get into mentoring and this mentorship program that we can channel our individual members' passions and bring their passions into our programming. Now, how can I ignite your programming? Michigan JCs have a solid foundation with our programming area. I feel it's important to continue to build upon the successes of prior boards, allowing the program to evolve rather than to start from scratch. Who in this room gets real nervous with public speaking? I'm not gonna lie. I'm right there with you. I'd much rather sit in my comfort zone and sit at one-to-one over a picnic table or over a restaurant. I've done it with many chapters and built those relationships with membership. Now, I wish when I was coming through the local ranks that we had the program submission process that we do now, where you get to stand up and argue and defend why your project should win over every other project that you're going up against. To me, I use the analogy of a job interview. However, with this, it's unlike real life, where if you don't win, you don't get the job. That's not the case with us. If you don't win, you still gain valuable experience. You gain public speaking appearance and practice, which I probably could use a little more of. I feel that participating in all areas that programming has to offer, whether it be competitions, trainings, or the degrees program, it can help our members hone their personal and professional skills, which will help them in life. A major factor that will help them build their relationships. Now you ask me, how do I ignite your relationships? To me, it's no secret that I value relationships. It's one thing that I value probably above most anything else. I feel that I've made strong relationships with our membership. I feel that there are two main factors for relationships and types of relationships. There's internal relationships, which would be between the individual chapters, members, between chapters themselves, within districts and within the state, and between the members and the state leadership. I feel that those are very vital to the health of this organization. A lot of the time, we may not go out and travel and build those relationships. We may just sit back, be a little complacent, and wait for those relationships to come to us. I feel we need to take a proactive stance on that and go out and do the relationship building. Now there are also external relationships that we can build within this organization. There's three main ones that I want to touch on. Relationships with local government, relationships with local chambers of commerce, and relationships with other civic groups. With the local government, I feel it's key to build that relationship. What will happen with that is we can find out what the needs of the community is, or are. Once we find out what those needs are, our chapter will then finally be able to say with 100% vigor, we are the organization of choice to fill that need in the community. With the local Chamber of Commerce, I feel it's key as well. Not only can we also find from the business leaders what the needs are, but we can also bring in new members and new lifeblood to our organization. With the local community groups, we can use them for our projects that are very manpower intensive and help our projects be more successful and help them in turn as well. Now you may be asking me, why do I want to be president? I've been thinking about it for a long time. It's been a goal of mine for quite a few years now. And to be considered the 92nd president and to be a candidate for that position is a huge honor. It's not to further my objectives. It's more to help our membership realize their goals from their vision. I want to be able to help empower our local members and our local chapters to be successful for many, many years to come. Now, what talents do I bring to this position? I feel that I'm very strong with one-on-one connections, helping to talk with members through difficult situations. I feel that I bring a leadership by example type mentality. I'm not going to ask anyone to do anything that I personally wouldn't do myself. Coming through the organization, I've been dubbed a worker. Going out, and whether it's dumping or washing ducks in both peninsulas, or whether it's pouring beer, or whether it's changing trash cans, I'm willing to do whatever is asked to make the project more successful and the chapter more successful. I also think that I bring a team philosophy. I've done it in both districts as district director, bringing the presidents and the chapters together. And this year's membership, I feel that I've brought the district directors together as a team to work better to make it more successful. I'd like to leave you in closing with one simple quote. Life is short. If there is ever a time to follow your passion and to do something that means something to you, that moment is now. Thank you very much, and I hope to have more conversations with you in the future.
Thank you, Steve. For the purposes of introducing our next candidate for president, please welcome to the stage the Michigan Jaycees local president's coach, Aaron McKenzie from the Livonia Jaycees, and Carrie Larson, Senator number 73973 from Lansing.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to help introduce Adam Bonarek. I just want to share one quick memory that I have of Adam, and this dates back to 2009, or OP9 as we like to call it. Back in 2009, Adam served as the Michigan Jaycees membership vice president, and during his tenure, he worked hard. And I know he worked hard because he got to work with Angela Fossey as our local chapter vice president and so many other amazing people. Our chapter was at growth that year and had an amazing year, and there were a lot of chapters that did. However, the state as a whole fell just barely shy of year-to-date growth. And my most vivid memory of Adam was when he gave his year-end speech. And at that time, it's a lot when people thank each other, pat themselves on the back, and what I remember was Adam having an amazing sense of humility. And he actually apologized because he felt like he hadn't done quite enough. And that to me is a hallmark of a true leader, is to stand back and have that humble moment and that sense of humility, and to let you know that they are there to serve you. not to boost their own ego, not to get ahead in the game, but they're to actually serve the entire membership. So Adam, thank you. And I remember turning to Fossey at that moment and saying, he needs to run for president. Best of luck to you.
But I'm gonna cry. Goodness, baby hormones. I'm proud to introduce my friend Adam Bonnerak as a candidate for president of the Michigan Junior Chamber. When I joined the JCs, I joined looking for something to do, some networking, maybe pick up a couple clients. I didn't realize that I was gonna be making some lifelong friendships, and one of those is Adam. He has been there for me as a sounding board, professionally and personally, since day one. His JC experience coming in handy to solve JC issues as well as life's everyday problems. While we have very different styles, Adam's experience, knowledge, and passion for the JCs inspires me every day. I've called him my friend, my roommate, my sounding board, and I look forward to calling him number 92. I'd like to introduce Adam Bonnerak.
Thank you all so much. President Matt, IPP Faye, Chairman Adam, members of the Board of Directors, past presidents, chapter presidents, members, alumni friends. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to stand here today as a candidate for president of the Michigan JCs. I have to give a special shout out, of course, to Carrie and to Erin. Carrie, I think you started to make me cry. The two of them and Erin, our styles are so different, but we mesh so well together. These two ladies have seen me at my best and they have seen me at my worst. And the fact that you have my back means the world to me, and thank you for being my friends. For my first exposure to this organization came before I was even old enough to be a member of this organization. I was invited in early 2001 to sit in on the board retreat for the Plymouth Canton JCs. I was 19 years old. I had no idea what I was doing, but this room full of people said, Adam, we want to hear what your ideas are. I met one of the individuals that's in this room today, Mr. Michael Escanda, that very night. And I was immediately hooked. I was hooked by the passion that I saw in these people. I was hooked by their desire to make the world a better place. I was hooked by the energy that they had, that they wanted to go out and do something to solve the problems of our community. It should really come as no surprise to most of you who know me at all that my first exposure to the JCs was at a strategic planning event. I mean, I am a bit of a dork in that way, right? I love a good board retreat, and I love a good board retreat today just as much as I did then. 15 years later, I stand here today, and I have made so many close friendships and relationships as a result of this organization. Not just in my community, but in the region, in the state, in the country, and even around the world. And the thing that amazes me about this organization every single time I meet a new member is the passion that they have for wanting to create change. Because that's really what this organization is all about, right? It's about all of us coming together and saying, we want to work together to make a difference. We know and we believe that 2 + 2 does not equal 4. 2 + 2 = 5. And I just said I'm a dork, so you would think that maybe I know my math and 2 + 2 = 4, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that the sum is greater than the individual parts. When we work together, we have such an ability to create more than we ever could if we were working by ourselves. And that's really what this organization is all about, right? Coming together to create sustainable impact that is going to make a difference in the world. That's where my platform and the idea of the way forward comes in. How many people have ever done that exercise where you're all hooked together in a circle and you have to try to move together in the same direction, right? And what happens when people try to go in different directions? Kim?
You don't go anywhere.
You don't go anywhere, right? You don't go anywhere and you just get stuck or you fall down. We have so much passion and ideas in our members and in our chapters, but we don't always do the best job of saying, okay, can we take all those ideas and put them down on paper and say, we want to achieve this in 5 years. You know, we hear sometimes in our history that, for example, the Grand Rapids JCs were instrumental in building the Grand Rapids Airport. That's not something they did in 1 year. It took them years to accomplish that. That is a project that they said, we have a goal we need to accomplish this big idea, and we need to get everybody on board to make it happen. We need to hear and utilize the talents of everybody in the room in order to make that happen. That's what the Way Forward is about. It's about identifying what every single one of you has to offer for the organization. And not only what do you have to offer for the organization, but how can the organization benefit you? Because sometimes, in our desire to achieve change, we forget about that piece of the puzzle. It's very yin and yang. You know what I mean? This organization has to provide benefits to you just as much as you are providing benefit to the organization. And that's what the Way Forward is about. It's about awakening that passion and those ideas in you, but not only taking your passion, but putting it down on paper and saying, what are we going to do with that? Where are we going to go? And how are we going to give you the skills and the tools and the resources necessary for you to be able to realize your passion? What's the footprint that you want to leave on the world? Sorry, man. So over the course of the past week, I have been spending time calling every local chapter president. And while I still haven't spoken to every president yet, I swear some of you are busier than I am, I have been asking each of them the same question. And I'm going to share the question with you now. My question to them has been, if you had to describe the perfect JC organization, what would it look like? What would it do? What would its members be like? What would its reputation to be? What would it seek to accomplish? We're never going to have a perfect JC organization, right? But that doesn't mean we can't strive for one. Their answers have been amazing. Their answers have been insightful. All of them in their own way have talked about the fact that they want to see unity. They want to see an attitude of welcomeness. They want to see diversity. They want to see us working together to achieve great impact and change. They want to see us reaching beyond the borders of our own chapters and working with others to create change. And that's fantastic. I've heard from several of them who have said that they are working with neighboring chapters at finding ways that they can create bigger impact. Like when I spoke to President Ed this week, he was telling me about how he and Ypsilanti have been working together. That's fantastic. But we also need to look outside of the JC organization. How many of you know that we signed just last month an international agreement with Kiwanis International? And I'm glad to know you guys know that. And how many of you know that the world president for Kiwanis International, Sue Petterson, lives right here in Lansing? Why would an organization that is 3 times the size of the JCs, 3 times the size of the global JCs, want to partner with us? They wanted to partner with us because they recognize the value, the inherent value in working together with young people, in coming together with young people and helping them achieve their passions and their dreams and their ideas and creating impact and change so that when they're done in the JC organization, they will continue to do that through Kiwanis, right? They want to see us be active citizens for a lifetime, not just for the time that we're in our 20s and 30s. That's why they came to us for that. You may have seen on my website and some people posting about the footprints. The footprints are not about my campaign. They're not about me. They're not about representing your support of me or my ideas in any way. The footprints are about you saying, what is it that you're passionate about? What is the problem that you see that you want to address and try to solve? Where is it that you want to have impact in the world? What is the problem that you are going to dedicate your energy to in order to eradicate? I think immediately of my friend Ashley Morrison from Seattle. When we were local presidents together 2 years ago, and I know Abby remembers this, she was the one who came up with, I'm passionate about ending bullying. She wanted to launch an anti-bullying campaign. And once she shared that, everybody else could buy into that vision. What is it that you want to change? I challenge every single one of you today to write down on one of the footprints out there and post. What is it that you want to change? What are you passionate about? Share it with your friends, share it with your elected officials, share it with the world. Henry Giesenbier founded this organization 100 years ago because he was looking for a way for people to come together, to create impact, to network with each other, and to make a difference in the world at large. And we still have that vision today. But Michigan JCs, if we are going to find the way forward, and if we are going to envision where we are going to be when we celebrate our 100th anniversary in 2024, we need to come up with a plan. We need to put on paper that we want to be this. And the only way we're going to do that is all of us working together. All of us working together to invest in the collaborations and the connections necessary to make that change happen. All of us working together to make those connections and the collaborations so that we can create impact and motivate our members to create that difference in the world. And if we are able to do that, when somebody asks us in the future, what are the JCs? They will know that we are an organization of young active citizens working together to make a difference in our world, and we will be able to point to the fruits of our labors to show just that. Thank you very much.
Don't go too far. If both gentlemen would please come back to the stage. This is going to be the really fun part because I have known both of these gentlemen for many, many years. And we're going to play a game called Pick Your Poison. Just as before, we will now go in reverse order. So Adam, you will have the first question. We will then go to Steve. Steve will get another question. Adam will get another question. So each will get 2 prepared questions. Audience participation time! You will all then have the opportunity to ask a question. Raise your hand, we'll bring you a microphone to ensure your question is heard. We again would go 2 questions for each one. We'll go back and forth. If we do not have additional questions from the audience, we do have a couple more questions up here on the paper. So fear not, gentlemen, there will be plenty of questions to be answered.
Oh, pity.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes. Do we have a choice?
No. So you will be choosing a number between 1 and 8. And Adam, as I said, you will go first since you went second in the first go around. So 1 through 8, pick one.
Number 4, of course.
All right. Question number 4. And again, you will have 90 seconds maximum to answer the questions. With no major fundraiser currently in place and a declining membership base, what ideas do you have to generate revenue for the Michigan JCs?
That's a fantastic question, IPP Faye. Thank you. The first thing that I think that comes to mind is the fantastic opportunity that only comes around once every 50 years, it seems like, which is to host a national conference. We have not hosted a national conference in Detroit since 1966, and we will be hosting it in 2016. And it's fantastic and amazing. And what I'm so excited about with that is that we as a membership have the connections and the networks necessary to not only put on a kick-ass convention and potentially raise thousands of dollars for this organization, but we also have the ability to utilize the connections that we are going to make as a result of hosting this conference to turn into long-term corporate sponsorships and money down the road. And that, I think, is where we need to be looking right now, is what kind of partnerships can we create to create a sustainable funding source that's not based on membership dues.
Thank you. Steve, number 4 is gone, but the rest of 1 through 8 exist. What say you?
Might as well go 5.
5, all right.
Good choice.
Tell me, how would you handle a board member who is not fulfilling their responsibilities?
Great question. Thank you. First thing I would do is I would get on the phone with them and have the conversation. Find out if it's something in the background that we don't know what's going on with their life. They may be having struggles familial-wise, or health issues, or anything with work. And then I would have that conversation and then sit down with them and make sure that they know that I'm there as support for them. If they're not fulfilling their duties in their office, then I feel it is the role of the president and the rest of the board to help come together and boost them back up and help them pick up the pieces where they might not be fulfilling, and we can help them successfully get to the end goal.
Don't sit down, just check. We're going to go back to reverse way. Just trying to keep you guys on your toes.
1, 2, 1.
Yes.
I was waiting for this.
Okay. Which number would you like? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8.
We'll go 6.
Let's keep on going down the line. How will you leverage the national president and your assigned national vice president to ensure a successful year?
Another good question. Again, it goes with my platform, building the relationships. Once we build the relationship with that individual or those individuals, we can then ask them to work for us, to help further our goals within Michigan, where they can come in and provide trainings for us, or come to projects, or come to conferences and give keynote speeches, as well as voice our opinion to the USJCs to make sure that we are heard as an organization. Too many times I feel that we do have the rapport, but we don't flex our muscle enough with those officers. So moving forward, I feel that that would be the key.
Thank you. Adam, you have 1, 2, 3, 7, 8.
I'm going to go with 2 for District 2.
Awesome. Very apropos that you should pick number 2.
Oh,
In reference to that. Do you think districts are treated equally? Why or why not?
Do I think districts are treated equally? Why or why not? It is an awesome question. I mean, I certainly think that districts should be treated equally, but no, they're not treated equally. And I think the reasons for that are many, and some of them are things that we could certainly change ourselves, and some of that is just the realities of geography and distance and where those chapters are. But we have struggled for years, specifically with the chapters north of US 10 and in the Upper Peninsula, to really engage them and utilize them. And that is a disservice to those chapters by far. We need to find better ways to work with the chapters that are not necessarily in Metro Detroit or Metro Grand Rapids as a way to reach out and utilize their resources, because they're members just as much as everybody else is, and they are just as deserving of having their input used to create our way forward and create our vision and to create solutions for the problems that they see. I think that there are technological tools that we can use that we have not utilized to the best of our ability to really try to address that problem.
Thank you. All right, guys, audience participation time. As I mentioned, we will take 2 questions for each candidate. Again, we'll go back and forth. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Let us know which candidate your question is for, and we will have them answer again. 90 seconds, gentlemen, for your responses. Adam, do you want me to pick, or? Yeah. Okay. I saw Anna with your hand. Who would you like to ask your question to?
I'd actually like to ask a question to both candidates. It's a very short one, though.
Messing with my program.
So the question I'd like to pose to both candidates, we both heard you speak today about why we should vote for you. I would like you to answer in one quick thing, why should we vote for your opponent?
I'll let her do it.
Oh boy. I feel Adam is a great candidate. I feel that with his platform, he has a lot of key points that our organization needs to move forward. I just lost my train of thought. Adam is obviously passionate about this organization, and I think that he would do a great job leading our organization forward.
Thank you, Steve. You know, it's funny because people have asked me this week, do you think a contested race is bad? And I've said no. I said because contested races give us the opportunity to look at 2 different perspectives. And if they're done correctly, there should be no ill will and no bad feelings done in the end. Steve and I were friends before this started, and I certainly hope that Steve and I are going to be friends when we finish. The thing that I've always admired about Steve is the easygoing way with which he interacts with other people. And he has an ability to do that while I'm certainly a very social person, I also have my awkward moments. And sometimes I have certainly been a little envious of how comfortable you make it look sometimes.
All right, another question. Kelly, from Lansing. This is the benefit of being around for 16 years. You already know pretty much.
Yeah, nobody else knows me, so. I wish both people had to answer the questions because I feel like they're important, but I guess right now I'll go for Adam.
Okay.
Being president is not only about motivating our members to do good things, but also providing them the skills to do it. How often have you provided training for the JCs at the state and local level And what types of topics are you comfortable in training?
How often? So, more times than I can count at this point. I think every conference that I have been to for the past 6 or 7 years, at least, I have given trainings at. I have trained for over 100 hours at this point on the JCI official topics. Almost everybody in this room, if you've taken Impact in the state of Michigan, you probably took it either from myself or Sarah Nelson. If I love to talk about how to make things better. I love to talk about SWOT analysis. I love to do brainstorming on problems and how to find solutions. I love to talk about how to motivate your members. I love to talk about ways to plan your board and your board retreat and strategic planning and thinking. I love to talk about ways to engage and activate your membership and recruitment. Those are all topics that I feel very comfortable speaking on, and I have been training for this organization for many, many years, and I will continue to do so as long as I am able.
Does somebody have a question for Steve? We'll try and go back and forth with questions. Okay, Paula.
Steve, you talk about how you have relationships with people, and you talk about how you have relationships with people all across the districts, the state, the United States. Based upon the last year as your membership director moving into president, what would you say your percentage beyond just knowing a person as a JC, that it's gone to a friendship, something beyond just, I know this person is a JC. How many would you say that you have ignited with past older JCs, newer JCs, etc.? Like, how deep is your relationship within the state?
With traveling a lot and going to different chapters, you get yourself out there. You do get to build those friendships and relationships within the organization. Now, it goes a lot further than how can I help you as a JC? It goes to the point of, hey, how's work going? How's your family doing? Both within our organization and with the Senate organization. I feel that I've made those connections very well. Like I said in my speech, I really pride myself on building relationships. So other than just within the organization, getting to know someone at their core level as a human being and as a person and making them a friend is a very big goal of mine whenever I get introduced to someone new. And half the time it's not me waiting for them to come introduce themselves. It's me going out of my way and going, hi, I'm Steve, how are you? When I go to a chapter or to a project, or just walk around a city for that matter.
So you guys might think you're done, but I'm a past EVP and we're well ahead of schedule, so we're going to continue questions and answers. I have a question in the back, Janice from Livonia.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Believe it or not, this is my first meeting. So, I have a question that I would also like both to answer. It will be very quick. Question is, when we move into 2016 and there is a winner in this race, would the other be okay and interested in serving on the winner's board?
Great question.
I have been serving in roles in this Brothers organization for 15 years now. I will always be willing to serve if I am asked. I think it would be an interesting conversation for Steve and I just to figure out where to put me, given I've held almost every single role at this point. But if we found a way and we found a place where my skill set would be of value and use, I would absolutely be willing to consider serving on next year's team.
Much like Adam said, coming into this, him and I are friends. Coming out of this, I don't expect anything changing. If Adam were to ask me to serve on his board next year, if he wins the election, I'd be more than happy to consider serving on his board. It would obviously depend on the position offered and whether or not I feel that my skill set would be able to benefit the organization. I wouldn't want to be a detriment in that position.
Thank you. Another question from the audience. Oh, I'm sorry. Don Hetzel, member of the Lansing JCs.
Thank you. I'm going to direct this question to Steve. Adam already talked about the national convention. Coming off the year's membership, Vice President, how will you leverage the fact that we have a national convention here in the state of Michigan to help drive membership next year?
Great question, thank you. Leveraging that conference or convention to help raise membership in Michigan, I feel would be very crucial on building the relationships with the local businesses and getting sponsorship levels throughout the state. Getting the word out and letting people know, hey, we haven't had this in quite a few years, 50 to be exact. How can we help get you as a local community to help send your members to our organization, and we can provide them the tools and the resources that will help benefit you as an employer, basically for virtually little to no cost, just the membership dues. And that would help bring members into our organization.
Other questions from the audience? Jim Hart from Westland.
Thank you. This question is for Adam Bonerick. Adam, in your current office that you hold right now as IVP, what outside secret formula do you have, or what can you bring to the current program here in Michigan that we're missing? How can you apply that to the state and our success?
Thank you, President Jim. That's a great question. Traveling to other countries has really been interesting this year because while there are some things that other countries struggle with just the same as we do, how to get people to show up to meetings, how to get people activated, how to get people involved, right? Like they have the same problems that we do. But the one thing that I have noticed consistently everywhere we travel that I think we would be very wise and smart to consider if there's some way to utilize this within the Michigan JCs is the way in which they introduce and orient new members to this organization. Outside of the United States, if I meet you today at an event, so maybe I've met Stephanie, I'm like, hi Stephanie, would you like to be joining the JCs, right? She can't say yes. I can't sign her up today. She can sign up as a confirmed person who is interested in joining, but they have a whole process where they ask their potential members to attend orientation, to attend the impact training, to attend meetings, to write out a personal vision statement, to come out with goals for the future. I certainly don't think we need to go to all that. But the one thing I've noticed is they have retention rates that often average around 90% or higher. We are often lucky if we hit 60%. We're having an absolutely fantastic year if we've hit 65%. Wouldn't it be much better if we were a little bit closer? If we were a little bit closer to that 100% retention mark? And the thing that I think is of value in that process is they've taken the time within that to make sure that we are a good fit on both sides. They're making sure that what that member is looking for is what we can provide, and that we are going to be able to provide just as many benefits for them as that they might be able to provide for us.
Is that enough hot seat for those guys? Any other questions? Ladies and gentlemen, your candidates for 92nd President of the Michigan JCs, Adam